So, you're avoiding your own suffering and pain by jumping into the next relationship or the very next relationship that you have without dealing with the previous suffering and consequences and lessons that came and were attached with the last relationship. Let's go even before that. Before any relationship you had lessons and consequences and attachments that you never healed from, that you never learned from, that you were never able to overcome. And then all of a sudden, this beautiful idea of love, of a relationship, comes into your life. And that takes presence and that takes a hold of your new life without even healing, without even understanding yourself more or better. Why? Because we're not ready to learn about ourselves or to go through the suffering that it takes, to go through the hardship of bearing in the thoughts that we have. We all have inner thought. We all have emotions that we've never healed from, that we've never overcome. And what do? We use all that baggage, relationship or not, we use all that baggage and we just put it onto the next person. We put it onto the next relationship, the one that you're in. How do I know? It's facts. So, before you ever get into your first relationship, the baggage that you decide to bring to it is your familial, family problems, or your friendship problems, or your unhealthy love patterns. You may be clingy. You may be someone who is emotionally avoidant, or you may be even someone who is, that's what I thought. Who is emotionally unavailable. That's different from being emotionally avoidant. But because that you went through all of these terrible things in your childhood and in your past and in your environment, you decide to use a relationship as a lifeline, or use a relationship as a distraction, as something to take priority over healing your past trauma, your past hurt, your past pain. And why do I say that you bring the baggage to the relationship? Because let's say that your parents were never loving towards you, or they were very cold-shouldered to you. All of a sudden you're grown up and you're super clingy. You think that a relationship is texting every single day or investing all your time in that person because you're afraid to lose them or to get that same feeling that you got from your parents. As the example that you got from your parents of not feeling loved. So what do? You do everything you can to make sure that this person feels loved, to make sure that this person doesn't get a breath of air outside of your love. Another example is being emotionally avoidant. Let's say all the time, I don't think this is exactly accurate, but it's a good example. Let's say that all the time, your brothers and sisters would never talk about their emotions, or your family and parents would never talk about their emotions, and all they did or decided to do was bottle it up, or hide from it, or lie about it to your face, knowing blatantly that the opposite is true. A great example to lead off of that is something from my own life. Now, I don't know, it probably led to my emotional unavailability as an early adult, or emotional avoidance. But let's say I was probably 10 years old, around that age. My mother had no other way to learn or to be in the relationship that we had, the dynamic of mother-son relationship, in the way of discipline. And back then, times were a little bit different. Not as rough as they were for the previous generation, but they were definitely still teetering on the line of what's lawfully right. I would get disciplined if you know what I mean. I would get disciplined, and 5 minutes later, she would have company over. For whatever reason, I think it's so funny, but for whatever reason, she would have company right after she disciplined me. And what was her reaction before they even came over? It was, you better be happy. You better look like nothing's wrong with you. I will make sure that when they leave, something will be wrong with you. You better stop acting like you weren't just disciplined. You better stop acting not happy. And I use that term throughout my entire childhood. Not happy. Not sad, just not happy. If I was not happy, then that's bad. That's extremely bad. Because I was impressioned to live as a replica of her. Which really, that's how it kind of is. The way your children are is a replication of the way you are, or the way that you handle yourself, or your inner works. So what did I do? I turned off my emotions. I turned off the very thing that I should have been learned or taught how to evolve and grow into. And it's not her fault, my mother's fault, because she was never taught that, or she was never shown these things in her childhood. In fact, they were much worse than mine. But because of that, I grew up to be emotionally avoidant or emotionally unavailable, and I closed myself off to the emotions that I naturally had, to where I was numb inside, or to where the fact that I wouldn't express my emotions, or I would be super angry and explosive after saying that I'm fine for days at a time, or I would brush off my anger, or I would brush off my sadness, or I would hold back my tears. When you start to understand that the way you were loved, or the way that you decide to love, all the baggage that you get comes from your earlier relationships, your earlier life experience, and maybe even childhood. And you never get to process it. You never get to learn the lesson that you were taught. Now, a lesson is taught to you whether you know it or not. I say that because, let's say, throughout my entire childhood, throughout my entire life, relationship after relationship after relationship, I kept experiencing the same amount of clinginess. And that's only because I never took time to be single, to be by myself, to understand, well, why didn't the last relationship work? Well, what am I doing wrong? Or what could I be doing better in love, in my relationship? And I love the fact that, especially if you end up with good closure with your relationship, they give you the reason why. If you ask them, they'll be like, oh, because you were too clingy, or oh, because you were super boring, or whatever the case is. But the point is that there are so many lessons, there is so much baggage that you are avoiding because you just jump into the next relationship. Because you decide to just dismiss all of the work that you need to do to be even ready for another relationship. You may think, oh, it's been 3 months. Oh, it's been 6 months. Oh, it's been a year. Am I ready yet? No. Why? Because you're asking that question. If you are really ready to be in the next relationship, or in a relationship where you love somebody else, then you would act like it with people that you don't even love romantically, with your friends, with your family, with strangers. And yes, with strangers. Because being healed doesn't mean that you're going to act different in a relationship only. It means it changes your entire perception of love, of being in a connection with anybody, with any single person. When you jump into another relationship, not only are you bringing your baggage and dumping it on to the next relationship, you're also repeating the same cycles that you never got past. Such as, let's say, in your last relationship, someone was emotionally abusive towards you, and you think that it's love, or that you think that it's normal because those are the same traits and habits and qualities that your family household or your social environment put you around. You're so normalized to these types of environments that you think it's normal, or you think that it's love, or you think that it's okay when it's not. But because you never learned that it wasn't okay, or that this person that's emotionally abusive or verbally abusive, which is very common, it's more common than you understand. Emotionally abusive or verbally abusive, you get into the next relationship, and guess what? Different face, same outcome. This person, even if it's less or even if it's more, they're still emotionally abusive, verbally abusive. Or they make underhanded comments, or they're passive aggressive. And why? Why do you keep getting into the same relationship or same situations where the person is different but the outcome is the same? Because you didn't heal. You didn't learn from your past relationship or from your past traumas, your past history with yourself, your past experiences. It doesn't take a month. It doesn't take 6 months. It doesn't take a year. It takes time invested into yourself. And there is no time frame for that. There is, okay, it's been 365 days. I'm ready. I'm healed. I've changed. It could just be one day. I doubt that it would be, but it could just be one day. One full day where you completely give up and release yourself to your emotions, to your past, to your history, to your experiences, to your trauma, to the lessons that you have still yet to learn. It's not easy. In fact, it's one of the hardest things that any human being could ever experience. Why? Because you're forcing yourself to grow. You're forcing yourself to change, even if you don't change physically or if there's no actual result or proof that you've changed. You have changed. If you just change the fact, or you just change the part where you no longer get in relationships where the person is emotionally abusive or verbally abusive, then you put a barrier up, a healthy one, to protect yourself, to make sure that you would never go through that again. And even better, if once you do get past this specific hurdle that I'm targeting, then you'll see it in other people. And you know what? Once you're healed, no, not for me. This person is not for me. It doesn't matter if they're in a relationship with me romantically or not. It doesn't matter if they're the opposite gender or any gender. This person has bad qualities, unhealed or toxic traits. Or they hurt me in such and such way. So I can associate with them in any regard. And in fact, if they do decide to get into my circle, my space, my mentality, my area, or be my friend, they better act differently. They better come a certain way, right? They better be nice to me. They better not be a specific way, because then I'm going to have to tell them, hey, we can't hang out. We can't be together. We can't talk. I can't talk to you if you're going to talk to me like this, if you're going to treat me this way. So I targeted a specific area, but these are some of the things that you're avoiding because you're just getting into the next relationship. You went from love to sad to love, not from love, sad, healed, self-love, then love. Why is it so important that it's those specific steps? Because no matter what you go through, no matter what you're dealing with, it's cliche as it sounds, but if you don't love yourself, then no one else can love you for you. Like no one else can love you for you. Like no one, I hope that makes sense. The only person that can love you for you is you. Oh, I just had an example, but It's not someone else's, it's not your partner's job to heal you, because they can't. You shouldn't be looking for the results or the effort or the progress to fix and better yourself through another person, because that's another person and they have their own things they got to go through, their own things they got to heal from. I'm not telling you to leave the relationship you're in, but I'm telling you that because of these things, because you just jump from relationship to relationship and you don't know anything else, you never took the time to just process everything from the last relationship, from before, from after. You spill it onto your partner. Another great example is in my last relationship, this person that I loved, this person that I deeply cared for, was emotionally hurt from their last relationship. They didn't feel like they could be loved. And what did that do to me? That put on responsibility to me to validate them 24/7. The quote I love hearing, because it tells me who you are and where you are on your journey of self-healing and growth. Do you love me? Asking for validation, asking for reassurance, because somewhere in your life or somewhere in their life, they never got that reassurance, they never got that validation, they never got that comfort and security with themselves and with the people that they thought loved them. So, what can you do now? Whether you're in a relationship or not, or about to get into one, what can you do? Well, if you're already in one, I was just talking to your partner about your past. It's harder to talk to yourself about it. Not everyone is accustomed to talking to themselves and looking like they're crazy. But you have a partner at least, right? So I would advise that you, if they really care about you, they will listen. You just explain. You just talk about your feelings. Whoa, don't go too crazy now. I know feelings is a big word. But you talk about your feelings. You talk about your experiences. You know, it helps even more because you have someone else to go with. Ask them, hey, I noticed that you always want validation. Is there a reason for that? Is there a reason for this or that? And they'll tell you, because it's so easy to know. Oh, my last boyfriend, they treated me like, I don't know if I said the word, they treated me like shit. They treated me so badly. They made me feel like I was nothing. They only wanted me for this. And say, okay, well, this is what we can do. How about instead of whenever you think that you have validation, you give me a sign that I can give you physically, non-verbally, to make you feel more secure in yourself. Or better yet, if you're not in a relationship, great. It's so good to be single. Not because you don't find love and stuff like that. It's great and it's so fun to love. But if you're not ready and secure in yourself emotionally, with no baggage on you, then you're only going to make the other person suffer more. You're only going to make the next relationship or the one that you're currently in even more difficult. And you know why it doesn't work out? Because you never let the baggage go. You never sorted through the baggage. So what did your partner have to do? They had to carry the baggage or sort through the baggage themselves. And even then, if you were never ready to sort through it or release it, then it's just baggage for both of you. And all of a sudden, the relationship falls apart. Because one of you wasn't healed, or both of you weren't healed, or both of you weren't ready to be a certain way with each other. It's not anyone's responsibility in a relationship, romantic or not, to uplift you or to carry things for you or to validate you or to do anything for you. It's nice. It's great when people do, but you have to do that for yourself. You have to do that for yourself so that you can do that with someone else, for someone else. I'm pretty sure I've used this example before. I haven't. But let's say both of you in the relationship is an empty glass of water. Now, how can you both pour into each other and make it an equal balance of water if one of you is empty? Or if one of you is over full and the other is half? You wouldn't be able to just pour into each other. You wouldn't be able to invest in each other the same way that you would if you guys were at equal levels of water. I don't know, I'm searching. If you are still on the journey of feeling secure in yourself, you must realize that nothing outside of you, nothing externally, nothing physical, no one mentally will be able to fix you. No one will be able to change you. If you want that from someone else, then you're looking in the wrong place. You're deciding to give up your free will of change, your own power to heal yourself. This is why people go to therapy so much, because they need an external person to heal them. To not even heal them, everyone heals themselves. But a therapist is just that middleman for you and you. Again, so you don't look crazy when you're talking to yourself. But if you can talk to yourself, if you can open up to yourself, then you have already conquered the hardest battle that humans, that you have to learn, have to overcome, which is being comfortable with yourself, which is being secure in yourself, which is being vulnerable with yourself, to yourself. And the moment that you pass that hurdle, the moment that you just push yourself into that uncomfortability and you're able to just feel everything and finally heal. Healing is a process that never stops. But there is a certain point of healing when you're happier or when you're healed enough to be ready for a relationship. And because you did all that work of healing, of letting go of the baggage, the next relationship that you find yourself in, or the next prospect, the next person that you think that is a romantic prospect. I don't know a better word than prospect, but a romantic interest. You're going to see, well, you're going to look at them. You're going to watch them. You're going to see how they think, see how they act emotionally, and be like, okay, we're on the same level. Or wait a minute, they look like they still have some healing to do. And these are all red flags. These are red flags within yourself. These are red flags for others. These are all things that everyone has to overcome. And we're all on a certain part of our path. Now, where are you in this part? Where are you in this relationship? Are you just barely getting into one? Are you talking to someone online and you confuse time with love or connection? You confuse the fact that they text you all the time as a disillusion for connection? Or using your feelings to change reality for what it really is and use it as fuel to confirm your emotions and validity for yourself. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Augustin, and this is Just for Real Clarity.